The year is 1943. World War II is raging. The fate of the world hangs in the balance. The Allies have achieved a major victory in North Africa. Now they plan to invade Europe. The most logical target is the island of Sicily, the soft underbelly of Axis Europe. But there is a problem. The Germans know that Sicily is the logical target. They are waiting. The island is heavily fortified. An invasion would be a bloodbath with thousands of casualties. The Allies faced a critical question. How do you fool an entire army about your real plans? How do you make them look in one direction while you prepare to strike from another? In a dusty basement in London, 2 intelligence officers were tasked with finding an answer. Their names were Ewan Montague and Charles Chumley. Their job was deception. They stumbled upon a radical idea first proposed in a memo by a young Ian Fleming. Fleming would later go on to create the character of James Bond. The idea was a modern Trojan horse, but instead of a wooden horse, they would use a man. More specifically, they would use a dead man. This was the birth of Operation Mincemeat. The plan was as brilliant as it was macabre. First, they needed to find a body. It had to be a man with no family to ask questions, who had died in a plausible way. They found the body of Glindra Michael, a homeless man who had tragically died from poison. He would be given a new identity, a new life, and a crucial mission in death. He was to become Major William Martin of the Royal Marines, a fictional hero. Every detail of Major Martin's life had to be meticulously crafted to be believable. Montague and Chumley essentially wrote a novel for a single, critical audience, Nazi intelligence. They gave him a full personality. They created what they called pocket litter. This was the collection of small, personal items a real man would carry in his pockets. They included ticket stubs from a London theater and a bill from his tailor. They even included an angry letter from his bank demanding payment on an overdraft. To make him truly real, they gave him a love story. They invented a fiancée named Pam. They included 2 passionate love letters from her and a photo of her in his wallet. The woman in the photo was actually a clerk working for MI5. They even gave him a stern letter from his fictional father, disapproving of his choice of fiancée. All these details painted a picture of a real, living, breathing man. The final, crucial element was the deception itself, the fake secret documents. They were placed in a briefcase, which would be chained to Major Martin's wrist. The centerpiece was a personal letter from one top British general to another. The letter casually mentioned sensitive information, as if between trusted friends. It explicitly stated that the Allied armies were preparing to invade Greece and Sardinia. The letter mentioned that Sicily was just a feint, a diversionary target to mislead the Germans. Every detail was designed to convince the enemy that the real target was anywhere but Sicily. Now they had their man, his identity, and his mission. The next step was delivery. Major Martin's body was carefully preserved in a special steel canister filled with dry ice. The canister, grimly labeled "Handle with Care," was loaded onto the submarine HM Seraph. The submarine set off for the coast of Spain, a country that was officially neutral but had many Nazi sympathizers. The chosen location was off the coast of Huelva, a port known to have an active German spy. On April 30th, 1943, under the cover of darkness, the submarine surfaced. The crew gently pushed the canister into the water. Ewan Montague recited a psalm from the Bible. They opened the canister and gently released the body of Major Martin into the sea. They watched as the tide slowly carried him towards the Spanish shore, along with a rubber dinghy to make it look like a plane crash. The bait was set. Now, all they could do was wait and hope the enemy would take it. A few hours later, the body was discovered by a Spanish fisherman. The Spanish authorities were notified. The briefcase with the secret documents was found, just as planned. Back in London, the British began the next phase of the deception. They started to act panicked. They sent a flurry of urgent, coded diplomatic messages to Spain, demanding the return of the briefcase. This theatrical panic was designed to signal to any listening spies that the documents were incredibly important. As expected, the local German intelligence agent in Huelva heard about the discovery. He immediately alerted his superiors. The Spanish authorities were pressured by the Germans. The Spanish shared the contents of the briefcase. German agents carefully opened the letters and photographed everything. After a few days, the documents were returned to the British with apologies from the Spanish. The Germans believed they had scored a major intelligence victory, intercepting vital Allied plans. But in London, the real question remained: did they truly believe the lie? The answer would come from Bletchley Park, the center of British code-breaking. By intercepting German radio messages, they could listen to the enemy's most secret communications. Days turned into weeks. The tension was immense. The fate of thousands of lives depended on it. An intercepted message confirmed the documents had been passed up the chain of command. Then the breakthrough came. They had been analyzed, believed to be genuine, and sent directly to the top. The fake invasion plans from the dead man S briefcase were now on the desk of Adolf Hitler himself. And Hitler, famously prone to trusting his intuition, completely believed the deception. He was convinced that the main Allied invasion would come through Greece and the Balkans. He immediately issued a series of catastrophic orders based on this false intelligence. He declared that measures regarding Sardinia and the Peloponnese take precedence over everything else. He ordered an entire panzer division to be moved from France to Greece. He sent 2 other panzer divisions to the Balkans, anticipating an attack there. He diverted fleets of German torpedo boats to Greek waters. Field Marshal Rommel was sent to Athens to command the German forces there. The Germans massively reinforced Sardinia and Greece, leaving Sicily dangerously exposed. The deception had worked beyond anyone's wildest dreams. The stage was now set. On the night of July 9, 1943, the Allies launched Operation Husky, a massive invasion force of over 150,000 troops began its assault on Sicily. The soldiers storming the beaches were expecting a brutal, bloody fight. But instead, they were met with surprisingly light resistance. The German and Italian defenses were weak. Thanks to Major Martin, the bulk of the enemy's strength was hundreds of miles away, waiting for an invasion that would never come. The island of Sicily was captured in just 38 days, far faster than anticipated. The success of the invasion opened the door for the Allied campaign into Italy. It was a major turning point in the war, hastening the downfall of Mussolini's regime. And it was achieved with far fewer Allied casualties than anyone had dared to hope. Operation Mincemeat was a spectacular, unqualified success. It remains one of the most brilliant, creative, and successful deception operations in all of military history. It proved that sometimes the cleverest weapon of war is not a bomb or a bullet. It is a well-told story, a carefully crafted lie that the enemy wants to believe. After the war, the full story was revealed. The operation became a legend. And what of the man who played the lead role, the man who was Glyndwr Michael? For decades, he lay in a Spanish cemetery under the name of Major William Martin, a beloved son of John Glyndwr Martin and the late Antonia Martin of Cardiff, Wales. The British government had quietly asked that his gravestone be cared for. His headstone reads, William Martin. It was a final piece of the legend, a tribute to a fictional family. But in 1996, after amateur historians uncovered the truth, a new line was added. It now reads, Glyndwr Michael. Served as Major William Martin, R.M. It finally gives credit to the man whose lonely death played an essential part in winning the war. The man who had nothing in life gave everything in death. His contributions saved the lives of thousands of soldiers on the beaches of Sicily. It is a strange and moving tale of how one forgotten man changed the course of the war. A story of how a team of clever minds used a corpse to outwit an empire. It is a powerful reminder that in times of war, truth itself is the first and most valuable casualty.